Well, Airbnb Friendly Apartments turns 1 today. The marketplace run by Airbnb gives renters access to buildings that will allow them to rent out their space part-time. The program has more than 400 buildings in its inventory, operating across 17 states. But with mortgage rates falling and several rate cuts anticipated in 2024, what's the program's growth look like for the year ahead? We're joined by Stein, who is the Airbnb Global Head of Real Estate, and Yahoo Finance's Dani Romero. Great to have you here for this conversation. Dani and Jesse, we got to just jump off with how Airbnb has been able to do with this particular offering for the first year that you've seen. What kind of contribution to revenue has it also shown to the company?
Yeah, well, thanks for having me, guys. Really appreciate it. Airbnb, we hit our anniversary this year of Airbnb Friendly Apartments. Started with 175 apartments in roughly 25 cities, and now we're over 400 apartments and roughly 40 markets around the U.S. And it's been really, really well received by the landlord community as well as the renters. To date, we've had roughly 900 renters post their homes, and they've made over $7 million. On average, the average renter has made roughly $3,500 through the first year of the program, and we're adding new markets and new buildings every week.
Jesse, what have been the biggest surprises since rolling out this program?
You know, the biggest surprise, honestly, has been the reception from the institutional real estate community. They love the program. They love the opportunity. They love the model. Consumers are looking for more flexibility. Consumers are looking for ways to keep up with the cost of living. And the response from the institutional real estate community has been, exceeded our expectations. And renters are now looking for apartments in which allow them to host part-time. So on both sides of the marketplace, we've been very, very blessed.
And Jesse, there's also a surplus of supply in the rental market, and even some markets are dealing with some saturation. How is Airbnb's program able to compete in those markets?
Well, I think there's so much supply hitting the market today, especially in the Sun Belt of the U.S. And this offering really differentiates your building from other buildings around you. So it attracts new consumers. Consumers want the flexibility. Consumers want the ability to make extra income. So we are scaling very, very well across the U.S., but especially in the Sun Belt, where there is a tremendous amount of supply that's going to hit the market over the next 12 to 18 months.
For the number of apartments that you've been able to contract with to this point, I imagine that there's some type of revenue sharing that might even have to take place. What is the kind of comparison when you think about the profitability, the margin versus a typical listing that would go up on Airbnb?
Yeah, I would think about it differently. To a certain degree, this is one's primary home, and they are not looking to arbitrage their unfurnished rent. They are looking to simply monetize their space when they are traveling for work, for pleasure, for whatever. So the average host has made $3,500, but that obviously is the average. In some markets, it's dramatically higher. In other markets, it's a little bit lower. It all depends on demand in that market and the use pattern of that resident. Some consumers are hosting 60 nights a year. Some are hosting 6 nights a year. So it really depends on the consumer's profile. The integrity of the program is to monetize your space when you're not there. It is definitely not to take away the housing stock and run a dedicated hotel, if you will.
And more states are regulating short-term rentals. For example, New York City has definitely made that push towards that direction. How are you factoring those conditions when thinking about expanding this program?
Yeah, well, let me touch on New York. First and foremost, New York is an outlier. If you look at New York, it is basically a de facto ban on Airbnb. Other major markets in the US, let's take LA and San Francisco, allow individuals to do unhosted stays, meaning you can host your apartment when you're traveling part-time. So New York is an outlier. And unfortunately, Airbnb Friendly is not in New York City at the moment. But if it was in New York City, individuals would be allowed to host their homes part-time. So we work across the US and we work with whatever the regulations are, and our partners vet those regulations before they roll out the program.
In the first year that this has been online, have you seen this change the affordability scale in some of the regions?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at the end of the day, affordability is your income in whatever rent may be. This helps individuals increase their income levels by hosting part-time. So it does help affordability. It does put incremental money in people's pockets. An extra $300 a month is a lot of money for a lot of individuals. So it has been very, very helpful for a tremendous amount of folks. And we've seen people be able to stay in their homes because they are now allowed to host part-time.
All right. Jesse Stein and Dani Romero here joining us for the conversation. Thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.